What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mayorverse. Mayor Reynolds here. I just played several hours of the finals beta. This is a free-to-play FPS that's been called Bad Company 3. It's been hyped for quite a while. I want to talk about it. I want to give you my impressions. This game's popping off. A lot of people are playing it. I'm going to show you some gameplay from my stream. This stream is from twitch.tv/MayorReynolds. You can take that in while I talk about what I think of the game. In short, though, I'm very impressed. There's a lot of potential here, and I think this is one you want to keep an eye on. So, with no further ado, let's get talking. All right, so the finals. Again, this game is made in large part by former Battlefield developers. You can tell just looking at it, it looks like the Bad Company 2 team. Literally, like this is where they left off. That's how it feels to me. It is much different from Battlefield, but the environmental destruction is a huge part of this game, as you're going to see in the gameplay. I haven't seen environmental destruction like this since Bad Company 2, not even in Battlefield 2042 or any of the other Battlefield games. And I've been waiting for a game to come along that really tries to use destruction the same way that Bad Company 2 did and create such a great gameplay experience. So first and foremost, what is the finals? It is a 3v3v3v3 game. There are 4 teams with 3 in each match, which automatically makes it a little bit different than something like Call of Duty or Battlefield or your standard arena shooter or battle royale game. Your objective is, this is an important part that I will talk about, you have to go crack open safes with your team and then try to get to these cash out spots to extract that money. There's obviously, you can kill other teams who are trying to do this. Other teams can try to kill you. There's only 2 safes that spawn at a time, but there's 4 teams, so everybody's going to be fighting for those same cash extractions. Once those 2 are both taken, it will spawn 2 more, and the value of those second 2 actually increases, which is nice, because that means that even if you totally sucked on the first ones, you're losing the game, you didn't get one of the first 2, if you can manage to get one of those second 2, you can really get back in the game, so you're never really out of the match. I think that's really clever game design by the developers. The games are quick, they don't take too long. It's much more like an arena shooter, something like in as far as match length, a Call of Duty or a Halo, 10-15 minutes. I didn't quite catch the timer, but I think it looks like maybe less than 10, judging by the timer in my gameplay video right here. So the game also has a really cool game show vibe. That's kind of the whole thing. That's the finals and reach the finals kind of thing. It's a competition, and that the whole game is funneled through that in a really good way. That I really love the presentation. The maps are built that way, as if you're playing in a tournament, like you're in Squid Game or something like that. And there's actually in-game announcers that call out what's happening, like when your team gets wiped, another team gets wiped, or you score, you get the extraction. When these things happen, the announcers, it actually adds a really cool element where you feel like you're playing in a competition, in a tournament or something like that. More on the tournament thing to come later. But the overall presentation of the game, the music, the announcers, and the whole game show vibe is really cool and really unique, in addition to the mode actually being unique. And one thing I will say about the mode, which it took me a few minutes for it to click, it took me a few matches for me to really understand what are the objectives, what should I be doing, and other than just trying to kill the other team. And that is a concern that I have for me, because it is something that is so different. My team really sucked in this game, by the way, so after watching the gameplay and wondering why I'm not killing anybody, we suck. Okay. If people jump into this game for the first time and they don't know what to do, my fear is they won't take the time to learn the idiosyncrasies of the game. The time to kill is quite long. We'll talk about that as well. And they might just go back to, well, I'll just play Domination in Call of Duty. I'll just play Fortnite, whatever, because this is something unique. And I think that developers need to be very careful about this. Obviously, there is a tutorial, but this is going to be controversial. but I don't think the game would be hurt by having some type of more familiar mode for people to play. They probably don't want people to just play that mode and ignore this more innovative mode that they've made. But something to think about, because if players jump in, they don't know what's going on, and they just leave the game, it's not going to be good for the game. So once you get into a game, you're going to see that the graphics are very, very good. This is former DICE developers who are known for great visuals and environments, and that's present here in the finals. The game looks very good. It performs very good. Again, it has a very unique aesthetic. There's 2 maps in the beta. I like both. I thought it's filled with clever map design. There's kind of moving parts of the map. Again, fully destructible environments. There's zip lines everywhere. Lots of verticality. Items that you can pick up and throw and use to destroy things or throw at your enemies. The whole scope, the verticality of it, the level design in general is just very good. It almost not quite as crazy and over the top, but it almost reminds me of Hyperscape, which is unfortunately now dead battle royale game, which had some really cool map, really cool environments, a lot of verticality in its map design, and that's actually a compliment for me. Not everybody loved Hyperscape. I thought it was a great game. It had its faults, but it also did a lot of things right and really unique in some regards. There's also variations to the maps. So there's 2 maps in the beta, but there's night and day variants of both maps, and then there's also weather. So like I saw fog a lot. One map you play it's sunny and daytime. The next same map it's nighttime. The next time you play it, it's sort of like midday but foggy. And then somebody else, I had not experienced this yet, said that he got a rain variant map. So I really like that keeps, honestly, the night and day variants especially make the same maps feel totally different. I do not know the final total for map count in this game when it's going to ship. We don't even know for sure when it's going to ship, but I personally think, judging on what I played, that this might release into early access or season 1 relatively soon, maybe this spring or summer. Just a guess. Let's talk about the gunplay, which some people are that I'm reading on forums are saying that it's not their favorite part of the game, and I do get that. When you first get in, it feels kind of like your character feels kind of like sometimes like he or she is like ice skating. There are a lot of movement abilities, like I said. There's zip line, there's jumping. You can run and jump from rooftop to rooftop. Take ropes up, jump off of buildings, no fall damage. The time to kill is quite long, especially because there's 3 different classes, and the heavy class has a lot of hit points, and obviously the light class, this fastest, smaller hitbox, has fewer hit points. As you're seeing me shoot some of these people here, you're gonna see how long that TTK can be. I believe I killed somebody with an AK-47 at one point, and I had to hit literally every single bullet in the clip. It was like 32 bullets in the clip. So the TTK is long. And not everybody's gonna like that. That's fine. Personally, I think once it clicks, it clicks. The problem I do have is that some of the guns seem much better than others. I do think they have some work to do on the balance. For example, I really love the Winchester. I thought it was really, really fun to use. AK's pretty good, LMG's pretty good, SMG's pretty good. The grenade launcher you start with, which you think, okay, this thing's gonna be pretty strong, it only holds 4 grenades. It is basically useless. Didn't like it at all. And then here's the other thing that people are talking about. When you only have one weapon, you can't change to another weapon. Once you're in the game and you have your weapon selected in your loadout, that's what you have. So if you have a weapon, like you want to try a weapon like this grenade launcher, which in my opinion is no good, way underpowered, you can't be like, oh man, I really don't like this thing, I'm switching off. You have to play out the whole match with this weapon that you really don't like, really doesn't suit your playstyle, or really isn't strong enough. And I do think they need to work on that, let you change your gun during the game. I also think that they would, I don't know if they want to add a secondary weapon. There are some revolvers and pistols and stuff like that in the game. Maybe they want to work on that. There's also more weapons that you can unlock on your account as you go: sniper rifles, automatic shotguns, and the like. I can't wait to unlock those things and try them for myself. But the gunplay is a bit controversial. Some people like it, some people do not. The high TTK and the weapon balance thing can be easily fixed. That's the good news about that. I personally recommend using the Winchester. I loved it. All of your characters also have a multitude of abilities and equipment that they can utilize, from grenades, C4, barricades, cloaking, a healing gun, which is actually really, really good. And I found that the teams using the healers and actually working as a team were the most successful. This game is very team oriented for sure, because there are objectives. You need to get in, extract them, defend the point when you're trying to extract it, and so on. You can even pass the cash carry out thing to each other, which you see a lot in the one trailer. Um, and a lot of the abilities are actually really fun. These aren't just abilities that, you know, hero shooters and class-based games are very common these days. These abilities are all quite useful. You know, the heavy class has an ability where he charges in like a bull rush kind of thing, puts his head down, and will just barrel through a building, knocking down every wall he hits as he goes. Very useful, very fun. As you just saw right there on the screen, there's like a foam gun that you can use to create makeshift cover. Again, very useful when you're trying to defend a position or extract with cash. The healer, obviously, I said, was very useful. Cloak was good for getting in and out. These abilities actually felt well balanced and actually fun to use, and add some diversity in the classes to make the classes actually worth it, which is nice. One criticism I do have about the way the matches play, and again, this goes back to the player base, and it's kind of one of those things where, you know how a player base of a game can sometimes actually really help it or really hurt it. Because the mode takes some time to get used to and understand what you're supposed to be doing, I had teams and a lot of matches where people really had no idea what they were doing. And if you get matched with those people, it obviously hurts your chances of winning. My concern is that when people don't know that, they don't know where they're supposed to be moving around the map or when they're supposed to be trying to assault a position or defend. Sometimes the combat was very infrequent in those matches because teams just didn't understand the flow of the match, and that won't be good. It doesn't help the game capitalize on all of its strengths, like the destruction, like the verticality and moving around the map, jumping off a building to assault a team. So again, that over time, especially once the game people settle in on it, that should be reduced. But my concern is that people will get that first impression and they might just turn around and go back to the same game that they've always been playing. And it's really important, obviously, that this game gets players, that it clicks with players for it to sustain itself and continue on. Matches also have random events, which remind me, again, a lot of Hyperscape, where random like modifiers and stuff will just get called out during the match. I saw everything from, okay, periods where kills counted for more cash than they normally do. Everybody doing bonus damage, so all of a sudden the time to kill changes and gets shorter. There's really, I like it. It really shakes things up. Every match is a little different, adds some variety. There's a bunch of these in-game events, and the announcer will call them out, and it's just really cool. And it also adds some options for them down the road to add just new events. You know, maybe like Hyperscape, they had a low gravity one. Maybe down the road they add new stuff like that every season, a new thing to shake things up. Going back to critiques of the game itself, the sound design, and I heard this from both myself, other streamers that I watch play, and some of my viewers. It's very chaotic. People complain about sound design in a lot of games, especially battle royales. No audio, I can't hear footsteps. This game, because of the destruction, the announcers, the ambient sound, the actual gunfire, explosions everywhere, it is very messy in a way. I mean, somebody who regularly watches my stream came in and they said, man, this game sounds like it's screaming at me. And it's not that it's too loud, it's just that there's so much going on. going to be very difficult to rely on audio to tell things like, okay, this person is near me, he's creeping up on me, those types of things. There's constant gunfire, explosions, again, the announcers, buildings crumbling, all sorts of stuff going on. With that said, this isn't a game because of the style of game where I really feel like it's super necessary to be able to hear the footsteps so well. It's not a battle royale. You respawn. But it is something that I've heard multiple people reference, and I understand that point. If they can find a way to simplify the sound design or make certain parts stand out, that the developer might benefit from that. With that said, I think it does add to the immersion a little bit too, that you're in this giant competitive shooting event, basically. So, I mean, again, some people might like it, some people might not. It didn't drive me nuts. It is much different than what your standard shooter is, though. Then, I just mentioned respawn. I will say I've heard some people talk about the respawn times being quite long. When you die, it's about 30 seconds until you respawn, which that sounds like a long time, and it is. But when you understand the style of game that this is, it makes a little more sense, and you understand why it's more fair once you've played it and you understand. Your teammates can also revive you though, so that's why it's important to play as a team. So if one of you does die, get revived, stay in the game and not have to wait that whole time. You can stay out for a really long time if your team gets totally wiped, meaning everybody in your team just dies at the same time. Most people know what a squad wipe is. You might be waiting to respawn. Maybe you died 20 seconds ago, you're about to come back in 10 seconds. If your whole squad gets wiped, you get penalized. Now everybody has to wait another 30 seconds. So you can end up staying out for quite a while. And again, that's to incentivize somebody on your team staying alive, playing for their life, and actually reviving each other. But if you do get wiped as a squad, you're gonna have to wait a full 30 more seconds from when your first person died, and that's really gonna hurt your chances at winning the game itself. So this game has a tournament mode. What you're watching right now is actually part of that tournament mode, and I love this feature. I've been waiting for more games to implement in-game tournaments, and this game is all about it. So it has quick play, but it also has a tournament mode. That's the second mode, and this is the ranked mode. What this does is when the game starts, when a tournament starts, when you queue for a tournament, which you can do at any time, at least in the beta, it starts with 16 teams in the tournament, and it works like March Madness. There's 16 teams, not all in the same game, several matches, so to speak, that play out the exact same time. You don't need to wait because every game is the same amount of time at the same timer on the top. And so you start with 16 teams. If you lose the first round, you get knocked out. You get down to 8 teams. Lose that round, you get knocked out. Now you're down to 4 teams, and there's 2 4-team rounds. The winner is the winner of the tournament, and you get the most experience, the most ranked points, and so on. And I love that. I've been waiting for more games to implement in-game tournaments. Call of Duty Modern Warfare did this. They did tournaments with gunfight. I loved it. I don't know why they didn't put a bigger focus on it. And I love that the finals is doing it. I also want to say that the finals already has in-game leaderboards. I love that as well. I don't know why more games don't add leaderboards. In the beta, they already have them. So with all that said, I really think that this game, the finals, has a lot of great parts to it. It's already built for competitive play, for tournaments, for ranked mode. It's got leaderboards. Feels like a competition. The game looks great. It has a really unique look and vibe to it. If they can continue to add content to this game once it releases, they can fine-tune some of the balance, some of these things. A lot of people are talking about the time to kill. I'm not sure they're going to change that or not, but a lot of people are talking about it, so I feel like they might adjust it a little bit at least. They could have something really special here. They're going to have to grab players right away, though. That's really important. They're going to need to have a great first impression with players, and then again, have a strong content roadmap. The game looks great, feels great. I had more fun with it than I ever expected to, and my expectations, my hope for this game, my hype for it already high. So again, guys, give it a try for yourself. I love it. It's unique. There's not really anything else out there like it. For that reason, I say download the beta if you can get access to it. Watch for when it releases. In my opinion, this game is pretty close to release. They already have an in-game battle pass and shop in items that you can unlock through the beta that will carry over to the final game. For that reason, I think they're going to release this pretty soon. So keep an eye on my channel, keep an eye on my socials. We'll be updating you on the finals. And then make sure you're watching my streams, because I'll be streaming it at some point again in the future, including the day after this video goes live. So subscribe to the channel if you want more FPS content. Go follow my Dead Drop exclusive channel, Midnight Mare, on YouTube. And like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment with your own impressions down below. With no further ado, thanks for watching. Mayor Reynolds.